We're talking about Caligula. The name means little boot, a childhood nickname that masked a capacity for evil that turned the world's mightiest empire into a 4-year-long personal playground. His real name was Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, born into the most famous family in Rome, the Julio-Claudians. His father was Germanicus, a legendary general, and young Gaius was literally raised on the battlefield. The soldiers adored him and gave him his famous nickname, Caligula, because of the miniature military boots, caligae, he wore. When he came to power in 37 AD at age 24, the entire empire exploded with joy. Rome hadn't been this happy since Augustus. His predecessor, the grim, reclusive Tiberius, had left the treasury stuffed with nearly 2.7 billion sesterces. Caligula was the young, charismatic heir, the golden son. His first acts were populist gold. He canceled treason trials, recalled exiles, and published the imperial budget, a huge move for transparency. He gave a massive donativum, a gift of money, to the Praetorian Guard, securing their loyalty. It seemed like the start of a golden age. Then, 8 months into his reign, it stopped. The kindness, the transparency, the sense of hope. Caligula was struck down by a mysterious, grave illness. Historians debate what it was. Some suggest encephalitis, or perhaps temporal lobe epilepsy. But whatever it was, the man who rose from that sickbed was fundamentally different. His voice was harsh. His face held a terrifying, unnatural intensity. He had, as one ancient source put it, acquired an insatiable appetite for cruelty. He didn't just rule Rome anymore. He decided he was going to become a god. But before we dive in, I'd love to hear from you. What time is it where you are right now? Drop it in the comments. It helps the channel. And I think it's amazing seeing how people from around the world come together here to uncover forgotten history. Caligula's descent began with a cult of personality that became a cult of divinity. He started appearing in public, dressed as Jupiter, Hercules, and even the goddess Venus. He had a temple built to himself, and even supposedly had the heads of statues of gods like Jupiter removed and replaced with his own likeness. He would talk to the gods as equals or superiors. He was the only Roman emperor to ever actively, physically demand divine worship while he was still alive. This wasn't just arrogance. It was an active war on the Roman Senate, who were forced to play along with the charade. He demanded senators approach him on their hands and knees and kiss his feet. The Roman Republic was founded on the idea of shared power. Caligula crushed that concept, reducing the entire governing body to his pathetic, groveling servants. But the humiliation of the Senate was merely his political hobby. His true passion was sadism. Caligula saw people not as citizens, but as props in his personal deadly theater. The rumors of his sexual depravity were notorious. He was accused of incest with all 3 of his sisters, especially Drusilla, whom he treated as his wife and, upon her death, declared a goddess, giving her the title Diva Drusilla, Panthea, all-goddess Drusilla. Now, modern historians often warn that ancient sources like Suetonius and Tacitus were heavily biased, writing decades later to vilify the Julio-Claudian line. But even if the incest was partly exaggeration, the very public, open sexual violation was not. Caligula would frequently host dinner parties. Mid-meal, he would randomly summon the wife of a senator, take her to a private room, rape her, and then return to the dinner table. He would then proceed to publicly and loudly discuss her physical flaws and sexual performance, all while the horrified husband was forced to sit there, silent, and worse, forced to smile and praise the emperor's good taste. The violation wasn't just of the woman's body, it was a systematic, psychological annihilation of a husband's dignity. He used this method to publicly unman the elite of Rome, making them feel utterly powerless. Caligula's spending was as wild as his behavior. He blew through Tiberius's 2.7 billion sesterces in less than a year on games, spectacles, and monumental projects like the 3-mile bridge of boats across the Bay of Naples, which he built simply to prove he could command the sea and surpass the ancient Persian king Xerxes. With the treasury empty, he had to invent new, monstrous ways to fund his lifestyle. He turned the Roman justice system into a profitable enterprise. He would charge wealthy citizens with invented crimes like disrespecting the emperor's statues, execute them, and confiscate their entire estate. Wealth itself became a capital crime. He even levied the most ridiculous, petty, and cruel taxes: a tax on lawsuits, a tax on food sold in the city, a tax on prostitutes, which was then extended to the prostitutes' pimps, and eventually, even to respectable married women, to account for any perceived infidelity. This move was so unpopular that he was actually forced to publish the tax laws so the people would know exactly what they were paying for. His financial desperation created an atmosphere of terror. The ultimate symbol of his contempt for the Senate was his horse, Incitatus. He gave the horse a marble stable, an ivory manger, and an entire house staffed with servants. The final, crowning insult which Suetonius records was the emperor's plan to name Incitatus as consul, the highest office in the Republic. It was Caligula saying, "This animal is more worthy than any of you." Even Caligula's military campaigns were theater. His most infamous moment came during an expedition to the shores of Gaul, where he was supposedly preparing to invade Britain. Instead, he lined his legions up on the beach, declared war on the ocean itself, and then ordered his soldiers to collect seashells, calling them the spoils of war. This public humiliation of the Roman army was a direct insult to the very men who served as his ultimate security, the Praetorian Guard. The ringleader of the conspiracy was a tribune of the guard named Cassius Chaerea. Chaerea was a respected officer, a war veteran who had bravely fought under Caligula's father, Germanicus. But he was targeted by Caligula for relentless, cruel mockery. Caligula would routinely shame Chaerea for his supposedly effeminate voice, calling him Venus or Priapus. This went beyond banter. It was a deliberate, public attack on a Roman soldier's virtus, his masculinity and honor. The insult to his name was a fate worse than death. On January 24, 41 AD, after attending the Palatine Games, Caligula paused in a narrow, dimly lit corridor leading to the imperial baths. It was a secluded spot, perfect for a trap. Chaerea and a group of co-conspirators cornered him. Chaerea struck the first blow. The attack was swift and brutal. Caligula was stabbed over 30 times. His final gasping words were, allegedly, "I am still alive." The German bodyguards rushed to the scene and, in a blind panic, mistakenly killed several senators, guards, and even Caligula's own wife and infant daughter. The conspirators had succeeded, but they had no plan for what came next. Chaos erupted, and while the Senate debated the impossible idea of restoring the Republic, the Praetorian Guard, ironically, decided the succession. They found Caligula's terrified uncle, Claudius, hiding behind a curtain in the palace. Claudius, the bookish, clumsy, outcast of the family, was instantly proclaimed the new emperor by the very soldiers who had just killed his nephew. The Senate, in a final act of outrage, immediately called for a Damnatio Memoriae, a deliberate attempt to erase Caligula's name, his statutes, and his memory from history. Caligula's 4-year reign wasn't just a period of madness, it was a test of the Roman system. It shows us how quickly civilization can crumble when a single man is given power without restraint. The lesson of Caligula is not just about ancient Rome, it is about the eternal vigilance required to prevent such horrors from recurring in any time or place where human beings exercise power over other human beings. And now a quick request. It helps the channel immensely if we know where our viewers are. So, please take a moment and comment the current time and your general location. Just the city or country is fine right now. Knowing this information helps us optimize future uploads and make sure we're reaching the widest possible audience. And if you found this exploration as compelling as I did, hit that subscribe button so we can continue peeling back the layers of history together. These forgotten voices deserve to be heard, and there are so many more stories waiting to be told. If Caligula's institutional cruelty shocked you, you need to see the other history we've uncovered. Click the video on your screen now to see the next shocking chapter.